Zeus, scene 16, take 1600 BC. Action.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the History and Mystery channel. I'm your host, Chronicler, and I want you to like and subscribe. Now that you've done that, I want to delve into the story of one of the most famous gods from ancient Greece. Mythology, Zeus, king of gods, leader of the 12 Olympians, and the patron of the Olympic Games. For our story today, I made 5 chapters, and those chapters are the creation of the universe, the birth of a god, the Titanomachy, Zeus's rule and his marriage to Hera, the Gigantomachy. So let's start with chapter 1. If we travel back in time to the year 700 BC, we will find the first written version of Greek mythology. When we start to read through these old tales, the ancient Greeks start to tell us a story of how they thought the universe was created. According to the ancient myth, our universe used to be a limitless void of emptiness called chaos, who was also seen as a divine entity. Then somehow, out of nowhere, a burst came from the chaos, giving life to the 3 primordial gods, named Gaia, the ancestral mother and the personification of the earth, Tartarus, the personification of the deep abyss, and Eros, the spirit of love. Now that we know that Eros was the spirit of love, we shouldn't be surprised to learn that he also became the first matchmaker in Greek mythology when he brought the spark of love to Gaia and Tartarus. The 2 gods fell in love and gave birth to the first gods and monsters of the ancient world. One of the children would become particularly famous for becoming the personification of the heavens that would cover the world. The name of this male deity was Uranus. Uranus would even become so special for Gaia that she would leave her husband, Tartarus, for him. Yeah guys, the ancient Greeks did like some incest. After the 2 fell in love with each other, Gaia would give birth to 12 Titan children, named Oceanus, Thetis, Hyperion, Thea, Cous, Phoebe, Rhea, Mnemosyne, Themis, Crius, Lepatus, and Kronos, the father of Zeus. Kronos was a jealous man and envied the power of his father, who ruled the entire universe. His father, Uranus, loved his power so much that he would do anything to protect it. So when the young Titans grew older and gained their strength, Uranus got paranoia and feared getting overthrown by his own children. Driven by these thoughts, Uranus would decide to imprison his own children within the depths of the world. When Gaia saw what Uranus did to their children, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She confronted her children and asked for their assistance in overthrowing their father's rule. The ambitious Kronos saw his opportunity and stepped forward to join his mother. Kronos and Gaia prepared themselves for the task at hand, and when Kronos finally confronted his father, he would prove to all the Titans that he was the strongest by overpowering his father in battle. After Kronos overpowered his father, he grabbed his knife and cut off Uranus' manly parts. After doing this, he would throw them into the ocean. Thanks to his bravery, he achieved the power he was searching for, and Kronos became the ruler of the universe. During his rule, Kronos became just as paranoid and afraid to suffer the same fate as his father. To prevent this from happening, Kronos decided to eat all his children and future children at birth. Kronos became the ruler of the universe, and his sister Rhea became his loving wife and queen. Just another case of incest. Kronos' rule would not be without challenge, and when an oracle told him the prophecy of his destiny, Kronos started to panic, because he just heard that he was gonna suffer the same fate as his father, which meant that his children were destined to overthrow him. To prevent this prophecy from happening, Kronos decided to eat all of his children just after they got born. Everything went according to his plan, and he ate all 5 of his children, named Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. The only thing that Kronos forgot was a mother's love for her children, and Rhea, she was heartbroken from seeing all her children getting eaten by her husband. When Rhea became pregnant again, she decided that she could no longer handle the pain and would not suffer the loss of another child. To prevent Kronos from eating her unborn baby, she decides to approach her parents Gaia and Uranus to ask for their help. The 3 of them created a plan to deceive Kronos. The first step of this plan was that Rhea had to travel to a place named Lyctus, located on the Greek island Crete. On the island, Rhea would give birth to her son, who she would name Zeus. To protect her son from his father's paranoia, she gave Zeus to her mother Gaia, so that she could hide him in a cave located on Mount Aegeon. Now that her son was hidden away from Kronos' sight, she still had to come up with a trick to make him believe that that which she would give him to eat is his son. Rhea would do this by giving Kronos a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, which he promptly swallows, unaware that it is not his son. After giving Kronos his late-night snack, Rhea would travel back to the cave to pick up her son. To make sure that Zeus would grow up without Kronos finding out, Rhea would give her son to 2 nymphs named Adrasteia and Ida. They would feed the young Zeus milk from the she-goat Amalthea and would beat their spears on their shields so that they could create a loud noise to cover Zeus's crying. For many years, Zeus was hidden away from his father's sight. In silence he trained his body and mind to prepare himself for the inevitable confrontation with his father. When Zeus finally reached adulthood, he was ready and started to make his plan. He decided that he would use the element of surprise, because Kronos still didn't know that it was a stone and not him that he had swallowed all those years ago. Zeus disguised himself as one of the servants so that he could enter the palace unnoticed. Once he entered the palace, he would make his way to Kronos' room and slip some poison into his drink. Kronos grabbed the cup and took a sip. The poison entered his body and forced him to spit out all of his children. Now that Zeus finally met his siblings, they had no time to catch up. They had to escape the palace and travel to Mount Olympus. Once they arrived at Mount Olympus, Zeus would call for an assembly of all the gods. Zeus would then tell them that the ones that would join him in his fight against Kronos would retain all their holy rights and privileges. But whoever decided to go against him would feel his wrath and lose everything. All his siblings decided to join his cause, which isn't so strange looking at the fact that Kronos wanted all of them to live in his stomach. The Titanomachy had begun and the battle plans got drawn. Zeus and his allies had their headquarters based on Mount Olympus, and Kronos and his allies were based on Mount Othrys. Many battles were waged, but both sides seemed to be evenly matched. There was no winner in sight, but the war did have some consequences for the earth and the sky above. The air started to burn, the water started to boil, and the earth started to tremble. This would cause Gaia to intervene, and she would tell Zeus that if he wanted to achieve victory, he had to release the hecatospheres and cyclopes that were imprisoned deep inside of Tartarus. Zeus made his way into Tartarus, defeated the Dragon Guard, and released the prisoners. As a thank you, the Cyclops would make legendary weapons for the Olympians, like Zeus's lightning bolt, Poseidon's mighty trident, and Hades' helmet of invisibility. Zeus's army was now unstoppable. Zeus would hop on his chariot and ride through the sky while throwing lightning bolts on Kronos' titans. One such bolt would hit Meniotius and send him into the depths of Tartarus. While this was happening, Hades used his helmet of invisibility to enter the Titans' camp and destroy their weapon armaments. Thanks to these actions, the Titans' ability to fight got destroyed, and the war ended after 10 horrible years of fighting. The war had ended, and Zeus would do as he had promised. The deities that stayed loyal got rewarded, and he who opposed him got thrown into the prisons of Tartarus. To make sure that nobody could escape these prisons, Poseidon created strong gates made from bronze. The Titan named Atlas was given a special punishment, and he received a task that would last an eternity. He was charged with holding up the sky Uranus until the end of time. The Cyclops had proven to be a handy craftsman and would receive forges amongst the gods on Mount Olympus. All the female Titans would remain free because they never fought or intervened during the war. The cosmos got divided amongst the 3 male Olympians. Poseidon became the ruler of all the oceans and waters of the world. Hades was given the title of ruler of the underworld, and Zeus became the lord of the heavens and supreme leader of all the Olympians. Now that Zeus was the king of gods, he needed a queen. The first one was Thermus, the second one was Metis, and the last one was Hera, his own sister. Yes, I know, again a case of incest. Hera became a consort to Zeus while he was ruling the cosmos and leading the Council of 12 on Mount Olympus, which was a kind of parliament, but Zeus's word was law, so it was more for show than for actual usage. The marriage between Zeus and Hera was an easy one, and Zeus was far from being a monogamous husband. He cheated multiple times and had multiple extramarital children. Zeus was far from perfect, but Hera wasn't any better. Multiple times she plotted to overthrow her husband's rule, and she would also seek revenge on her husband for his affairs. She would do this by attacking Zeus' spouses and extramarital children. For example, Hera would damn the nymph Io to wander the earth looking like a heifer. She did this because she almost catch her and Zeus together. The next victim of Hera's wrath would be the goddess Leto, who would suffer multiple attacks from a gigantic python that got sent to her by Hera. She did this after she discovered that Leto gave birth to 2 of Zeus' offsprings named Apollo and Artemis. As we can see, Zeus' rule wasn't a perfect one, and one holy deity was especially not satisfied with it, and that was his grandmother, Gaia. In her eyes, Zeus had replaced one tyrannical regime with another tyrannical regime. The only thing that changed were the gods, titans and creatures that got locked up. Gaia's frustration became so intense that they forced her to rise up against Zeus. She did this with the help of the giants, and this would mean the start of another war called the Gigantomachy. Gaia's war against her grandson was fought by her giant children and started when a giant named Alcyonius decided to steal the cattle from the god Helios. After that, a period of intense anger and havoc would return to the lands. Even though the giants lacked the means to directly challenge the Olympian gods, a prophecy tells us that the giants could only be defeated if a mortal would join the Olympians in their fight. Gaia knew of this prophecy, and she started to look for a way to protect her children. And she would find this in the form of a plant that they could use as a shield to protect the giants. Zeus also knew of this plant and intercepted Eos, Selene and Helios while they were transporting this plant. When Zeus learned of the prophecy, he instructed Athena to summon one of his sons named Heracles. Heracles was born out of one of Zeus's many affairs, but because his mother was a mortal named Alcmene, he was also just a mortal. Luckily for Zeus, his demigod son joined him, and he would fight bravely against a giant named Acleonius. There was only one problem. As long as the giant remained in his hometown, Pellene, he couldn't be killed. To get the giant out of the town, Heracles decided to dip his arrow into the poisonous blood of a hydra. Heracles would shoot the arrow at the giant, making him drop to the ground. Now that the giant had fallen, Heracles would drag him out of the town so that he could kill him. Heracles was successful, and other giants would suffer the same fate. Dionysus would kill Eurytus. Athena buried Enceladus under Sicily. Hermes killed Hippolytus. Many of the giants were buried alive under the many islands of the earth. It is even believed that earthquakes could be caused by the movements from the giants in their tomb. I want to thank you all for listening. See you in the next one. And remember, history is written in mystery.